Welcome to the Pro Bricky, not Pro Bricky, Pro Theologist channel. Um, Again, I'm talking about relationship awareness. What do you do when she starts to fade? Well, you've got to work out why. The first thing you've got to do is work out why is she fading? What is causing her to go backwards? They come into your life and there's an attraction and everything's going fine. Then all of a sudden, they're going backwards. What causes that? Well, usually it's an issue. It all comes back to issues. The whole thing comes back to issues. The whole thing. And the last lot of issues was a troubled son. He didn't like his mother having attention. I know I keep going on about it, but you've got to understand a single mother is not single. I'm going to say it again. This idea that mothers with children are single, it's not. They're not. You've got to understand they're not single. They've got the children to fall back on. You're just a fill-in. Men get cranky because they go, oh, well, you're at the bottom of the rung. Well, you're not at the bottom of the rung at all. You're just a fill-in for her feminine needs. She doesn't need you emotionally. She's got the children. You've got to understand that. I said to the last lady I was with, who are you connecting with emotionally? I thought she must have been having an affair or something. But no, she wasn't having an affair. She was emotionally attached to an adult child, adult children. She didn't need a man for emotional connection, although I'm sure there was some moments where she did, she tried, but ultimately their core connections will win out. So there's no such thing as a single mother. There's a lonely mother. She might be lonely, but no, there's no such thing as single because they're emotionally attached to their children. The children can't provide what the man can. That's the conflict that these women have got. The other conflict is if the child's their default, and they usually are, then they're going to, once the children start playing up, and they will, it's inevitable. She'll put up a fight at first because she's got a high level of need. Once those needs are met, once you meet those needs, your value goes down. She don't need you as much anymore. You're not of the same importance because the values have gone down. You're not of the same. The treasures come out of the chest. So they default back to where they're emotionally connected. It's fun. It's strange. If you watch, you'll learn quick that you're just a fill-in. Now, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying that in a way in which trying to be real. Unless you understand that, you're going to end up sour and bitter and frustrated and sad. Now, it's different if they're saying they want an exclusive relationship or something like that. If they say they want an exclusive relationship and they're not performing in a way in which it reflects that, then you're being deceived. You're allowing yourself to be deceived. And you don't want to be deceived either. No, you're not being filmed. You don't want to be deceived either. So you've got to be aware of what you're dealing with. Once, if you meet a woman and she's sharing her private life with the children, and it's not hard to work out, you've got to leave because the children are running her life. Oh, she'll make decisions that suit how she feels at that time, but ultimately the children are running her life. She has no boundaries. She'll say all the things she thinks you want to hear, but you can see through all that if you've got a bit of brain about yourself. Women always say, oh, I've been on my own for 10 years, oh, I've been on my own for 5 years, but they've had men in between all that. Don't kid yourself. Oh, I've only had 2 men in the last 5 years, my husband and you. Really? And they'll tell you the stories of some of the things they've done and forget that you've got a memory. Just because they haven't got a memory doesn't mean you haven't. And you just go, oh, come on, really? And you're trying to build a relationship. They've given you the impression that, there's a possibility of building a relationship like you're some kind of despo or something. And the next thing you know, they're not matching what they're saying, and they wonder why. You start to go, well, why don't you live what you say? And it becomes ugly. It becomes ugly because there's no need to tell lies. There's no need to fib. Once the children start, you're gone anyway. It's no point. There is no point trying to take on or compete with a woman's children that aren't yours. This is why women with children are a big call, a very big call, because they've got a lifetime with those people. And why shouldn't they have? Why shouldn't they put the children first? It's their flesh and blood. So you're a commodity. You can be replaced. If the things don't suit, if things happen that don't suit her and she doesn't want to resolve the issues, you'll be replaced. Don't worry about that, because you're going to run yourself out of the relationship anyway. You'll have the children turning on you and demoralizing you and trying to, show mum that they're protecting her from you. And I don't know how they, you've just got to go, well, that's the end of that. I'm sorry. The next thing, you're not seeing them as much because they're in conflict. They think that you're something that you're not. And you're sitting there, and as I said before, you're watching all this. There's no resolve for you because she's under the umbrella of her children, whether they're right or wrong, whether they're giving her the right counsel or not. Oh, I'm coming to see you, but I can't tell my sons. Well, that doesn't even make sense, does it? I'm coming to see you, but I can't tell my sons. How does that even make sense? From an adult, what that's saying is, I've got parents in the form of 2 sons. My 2 sons are my parents. That's what that is. Whether she wants to admit it or not, whether they want to admit it or not. Now, it's not the end of the world, and it's not saying they're bad people or, this, that, and all the other. It's what it is saying is, how could she think she's going to have a relationship with a fully functional male when her 2 sons are her parents? Now, they'll stand there and go, how can we be a parent? Well, why is she hiding from you guys when she does things? Why are you standing over her and controlling her life? Like, this is just one example. There's millions doing the same thing. It's not just these people. I'm not trying to pick on people. This is all about maturity. This is all about boundaries. This is all about knowing what you really want. If your life evolves around your sons or your daughters or whatever your children are, sons and daughters, whatever the thing is, then you've got to be honest about that. You've just got to say, right, these are my priority. This is how and where I'm headed. I'm accountable to these sons. See, what they don't realise is, as a grown man, I'm accountable to myself. I'm not accountable to her sons or your children or whoever might be listening to this. That's not how it works for me. I've got my life to where I've got it through sheer hard blood, sweat and tears. I've seen all the deceptions. I know female nature. I'm brought up in a family where it wasn't my father. They think you're ignorant. And as soon as they start to withdraw, play up, not answering texts, all this stuff that they can do, that they try on, you've got to say to yourself, I ain't doing this. If you've got a relationship and it's building, and then via interferences all of a sudden it's decreasing, that's it, it's done. Once your relationship starts to decrease and your performance is still good, she's done. You've got to go, right, that's it, she's done. It's not real. We're not building anything. There's nothing coming out of this. Is she a bad? No, they're not about being good or bad people. It's about order and what you want for your life with the time that you've got left. That's all it is. If you want to stay around and waste your time, then by all means do so. But you'll be sitting there on your own for the majority while she's entertaining her children or herself or somebody else. You don't know. You don't know. And you shouldn't care or worry about it. You just keep things in order yourself, fix the problem and get rid of it, get rid of the problem and soldier on. That's what you do. Don't be frightened to confront the issues, because the issues will confront you. It's as simple as that. There's no other way of dealing with it. It's not all that hard. The problem is, once you attach to someone out of genuineness and all the rest of it, and you're maintaining your stability and they're starting to diminish, well, you're attached. You're attached to something that's failing. You're attached to something that's leaving. You're attached to something that's trying to make you a convenience. And if you let them condition you to what they want, then they're going to leave anyway, because you're neglecting your standards. You're not living by your principles. And women notice that. Well, if he ain't living by his principles and I can disrupt his principles, then who is he? What's he stand for? I had in the last relationship a son protecting his mother from somebody that wasn't even a problem. I mean, this is how bizarre it can get. No, she'd be all proud of my son. He's protected me. He's protecting me from this bill. Oh, come on. Anyway, you've got to be aware. As soon as it starts to diminish and you can't turn it around, she ain't listening, mate. Honestly, really, move on. It's going to hurt, depending how deep you go, but move on. You're only going to waste time. Take it from an old fool. I've seen this, dozens of times. They get their fill and then they start playing up. Now, this isn't all women. There's good women that want to fight for their relationship. But don't tell me you're fighting for your relationship if you're going and if you're not communicating, you don't want to resolve things anymore. Usually they run out of resolve when all the problems are coming from their side. Once the children start, they're going to tire pretty quick, because it's a hard one to fix. I mean, the children are the way they are because she's the way that she's allowed them to form that way. So you need to decide. You need to go, well, what do I do? For me, I had 50 years, 55 years of life before she come along. I've done all right. Send her back to her dysfunction. She ain't cooperating with you. She doesn't deserve your time. If somebody ain't standing beside you, they're standing in conflict with you. You don't need that. There's not enough time. You don't get today again. You don't get yesterday again. You don't get tomorrow again. You've got to be determined that time is not going to be wasted by people that they can't get their act together. You must understand how a relationship functions. It's not that hard. And if somebody ain't playing their part as they were at the start, they're done with you. They've monkey branched to the children and will monkey branch the back door to somebody else. If they haven't already got someone lined up, you're done. It's as simple as that. Once their performance drops, if you crack the question and say, hey, come on, we can fix this, and they don't, you're done. Don't waste your time. Don't sit there and go, oh, well, this will change. It ain't going to change. It's going to diminish. It's going to diminish. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go back to what they know best, and that's being dysfunctional. They don't want a proper relationship. They want their children, their adult children. If you're doing something wrong and you deserve to be left behind, well, you get what you deserve. But if you're on your game and you're in your frame and you got these imbecile children trying to work out where you stand in your relationship, which it's none of their business. This is where the mothers let themselves down, and they can sit on their own for all I care. You should never let your children into your private business. And if you are, you need to get therapy. Now, if you're relating to this, you might need to check yourself. You might say to yourself, is there really people like that out there? You believe it, there is. Yes, there is. They'll come into your life, they'll be great, you all get along. Then the cracks start to appear. No boundaries, children playing up. If you're not on your game and you deserve to be chastised, that's fine. But if you're, okay, so you got a date with this mother and next thing the child's intercepted the date and you're rude, these people are completely deluded. Oh, we think you're rude. Well, you can think what you like. I would come down to have a date and you're standing out, oh, it was only for 20 minutes. It's not the point. They don't get it. No point you're wasting your time. It's just, you'll be chasing your tail. Once they've shown you a value that goes contrary to your arrangements with her, that's where it's all going to end up. If you don't submit to that, then that's what's up ahead for you. There's a message behind that. This is where my heart is. It's not with you. It's ugly, it's horrible, but it's real. And it's predictable in a lot of ways. You're not going to see what the real values of these people are until it happens. It's just how it is. You've got to have the courage to go, okay, I'm done with this. It's not, I'm disappointed. You've been disappointing. You haven't ended well. Yeah, we can all get along and everything, but there's no longevity in this. You got to let them go, because you're not living your life around other people's adult children, are you? If you're not living your life around your own children because they've grown up, don't live your life around somebody else's. You're wasting your time. You're being used. You're being taken for granted. And they'll go on, believe you me, right now they'll all be going on. They'll be going on without you. And what are you doing? You've got to be the best version of yourself. You keep going too. I was fine before she come along, and I'm fine now. This is what I mean about being the best version of yourself. If you're in order mentally and physically, and you're on your game, and you're on your purpose, and you're doing everything that you should be, if she collapses, she'll end up on her own eventually. Don't worry. We reap what we sow. If you're doing the right thing, and you've called it, sorry, I don't, you've got to go, I've had enough of this, she'll end up on her own because she's reaped what she sowed, or he has reaped what he sowed. But if you're living your life with purpose, and you know what you're doing, and you're honest about it, and you're trying to present that, right, and they want to get all muddled up with what their children think, let them go. Let them go. They're not honouring who you are as a man. They don't know how to. That's why they're on their own in the first place. That's why they're mollycoddling their children, because they know there's a strong possibility that they're going to be left on their own. Let them go. God's got a bigger plan. God's got a greater plan. God's got a wonderful plan for you if you let him have it. You've got to trust. If somebody's not performing and your tolerance has gone out the window, you've got to be fair to yourself and them and let them go. This is Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.